right. So Nick is unavailable today. I think he was taking some sort of class that's only offered, I think, today or tomorrow. So he's out of pocket. So you guys are stuck with me, and hopefully I will not mess it up too bad. I've had to, full disclosure, this is my first time teaching one of these. I am definitely knowledgeable on smart plans, but by no means an expert like Eddie or anything like that. So, if you all have any questions or feedback that, you guys have learned on your own, feel free to chime in. I don't want this just to be necessarily just me talking at y'all or whatnot. So I guess I'll go ahead and start it as 101. Let me share my screen here. All right. How many people we have on here now? I'm not going to be able to really see the comments. I'm trying to pull it up with multiple screens here. So if anybody actually has a question, just let me know. Or if there's anything like that's not showing up that you can't see, because again, I'm not going to really be able to manage those comments here. All right. So smart plans, y'all. This is a great feature that we have in Command. One thing to keep in mind with anything in Command is that this is beta. We are the test dummies, literally sometimes, because there's a lot of features that are awesome and they work here one day and then like the next day they don't work. But that's just because they're still trying to smooth all this out. So I've been told, to stay patient and stay calm with all this. But there's like, for instance, I was just talking to Eddie, one of my birthday smart plans, or I don't know if you guys have noticed, there should normally be a toggle area right here to toggle on and off these smart plans. But for some reason, it's not there anymore. I guess he said that they are working on that. So I'm not 100% sure when that'll come back, but that's kind of an important element to need, because a lot of these smart plans, you can't edit them if they're active, because if it's an active smart plan and you're making all these changes, it confuses the system. But since we're not able to deactivate them, it kind of makes it difficult. But I guess I'll start from the top. So once you go to your smart plans, which is your little applet on the left here, you're going to be looking at basically two different options. You've got your smart plans, which you can kind of see in mine. I've added 6 of them here. And I pulled all those smart plans from the library. And there's 2 types of people out there. There are creators, and then there are the people who R&R, the rip off and repeat. In my opinion, and a lot of other people out there from a lot of the videos that I've seen in the discussions around smart plans, it is going to be much easier for people to rip off and repeat because they've already got a lot of these set up for you. And even if a lot of these don't work for you, it's easier to modify someone else's work than it is to start completely from scratch. And it's like making open house flyers or whatnot. Like we all go to Canva or wherever, and instead of just creating your own, it's oftentimes much easier. So we've got about 10 canned smart plans here, which are all very good and very different. So I'll just kind of go through them step by step. One thing I wanted to point out is that if you don't have your email set up or Twilio set up, some of these features aren't going to work for you. The most important one is probably the email. Twilio is the text message service that we have connected through Command. Now, there's a couple of different challenges with Twilio where it doesn't actually send from your phone number. So some people don't like that. Sometimes Twilio kind of goes off on its own and sends messages at random or at weird times. And so I know some people don't like that. Personally, I'm not using Twilio just yet because I want to work out some of those kinks, but it's super cheap. I think it's like less than a penny per message. So if you do have a large database, or you don't really care that it's not coming from your actual number, it's good to connect your Twilio. But if you're going to do that, you just go up to the right-hand corner here and make sure you go to settings. And you'll scroll down, and Twilio, you see mine's not connected here right now, but all you have to do is, connect your account and insert your login. And now I don't know how to get back out of that. That's really weird. Interesting. Sorry about that, guys, but I don't see anything that I can go back here, which is really odd.
Does it give you a back arrow in the upper left corner?
Mm-mm. If y'all are seeing my screen right now, it's just all white. There's nothing on there.
Yeah, Kyle, you might have to go just exit out and go back into command.
That's really odd. Thanks, Ivan. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Sorry, a little bit late on the jump in, but I'm here.
That's all right. As long as you're here for some support. I can't really even see who's on here right now because of the way that I've got this set up. So it's kind of like me just talking to myself right now. So to get out of this, am I just going to have to like completely exit out of my window?
Yeah, it'll probably be easier. Just exit out and come back in. Wait, no. And you see at the top in the other bar. Yeah, there we go. There we go. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to either raise your hand or type it in chat, and then we can answer that as we go through this.
Yeah, and do you have anything to input there on Twilio, Ivan, in your experiences? Because since I'm not using it, I don't want to tell people that you shouldn't use it. But since I don't have any experience with it, I can't speak to anything there.
It just sends out mass text messages. Obviously, if you're going to send it out to your database, just make sure that they know that the number that you're going to be sending out of is going to be a different number. So that way, if you're doing a competition or something, right? If you were to get a random text message with a link, you probably wouldn't click on it, right? So you have to just inform your clients that, hey, we're going to be doing this, or my team's going to be sending out text messages from this specific number, and then kind of preemptively let them know that it's not spam, and that maybe they can even save it as your team number. Or this is a good way to sort out some of the leads. So if you get 50 to 100 leads off your Facebook ads, you can just send out one big text message to all of them pretty quickly. So, and then the same thing with smart plans, right? You can make a smart plan where it sends them a text every single day or every 2 days, right? So you don't have to constantly text them. So, will the number Twilio uses change every time, or will the phone/text message on your own account always utilize the same number? It'll always come from the same number.
And don't you get to establish that, or at least you get to pick? It's kind of like using a Google Voice. Like it'll just give you a bunch of numbers, and you get to pick whichever one you like the best.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, it's like having a Google phone number. Since you can't send text messages from your phone through Twilio, so it'll give you another area code, a different phone number. That's why I said if you're going to do that to your database, just to let people know that you have a different number that some of the information is going to be coming from.
Okay. And a lot of that you can generate, a link in there, I guess, to where they can go to a landing page. They don't have to just respond back, I guess, that text.
Right, yeah, and if they do respond back, you'll get a notification on your Kelly, and then if you click on their contact name in the contacts, you can see your text message dialog through there as well.
Awesome. And then the next one, I guess, is the email. So if you don't connect it, it's not going to be able to, all these are sent from a KW email, it says here, but if you don't actually select whose name is here and a reply to email, you might not get the replies here. So I have this set up to my email address that I've paid for instead of the KW one, because that's the one I check the most frequently. But the most important thing is just to make sure you double check that this is connected to an email address that you're checking often. The monthly usage, the 5,000 emails, I mean, if you've got a very, very large database, I would think that you might go over that. You would have to manage your subscription more, but I think for a lot of people that would probably be enough. But I do not have 5,000 people in my database, so I don't ever go over that. All right, so going back, I mean, guys, this is just going to be kind of like a basic run through this. Like I said, I've got my 6 that I've done here. I initially did a birthday one, which is the one I kind of like the best. And then I didn't change anything on it. But then I also had another one here where I put edited, and you'll kind of see why that's important kind of as we go through. So I'm going to go up to the library now up here and go back to all the ones that KW has canned here. I believe at some point you're going to be able to buy smart plans from other agents and teams once they get that going, which is why you'll see free here. I mean, obviously all these are free, but then at some point it'll say, like the App Store, something will be $1 or whatever it costs. So one that'll be pretty good right now for a lot of people too, as we're getting this app out, our new app, and touching your clients will be the Promote My App one. If you look at these numbers here, a lot of this is relatively self-explanatory, and they do have a lot of, if you hover your mouse over, it'll kind of give you some information. But if you click the steps here, this is kind of what's important to me. And this also tells you here, there's 5 steps in this one. It's the duration of the steps is 5, and you actually get 3 touches in here. So when you click on the Promote My App, view the steps. So the first one is going to be to send an automated email to say, hey, we have this new app, check it out. This will set a delay here too. So after 1 day, then it'll alert you to send an SMS message, or if you have Twilio set up, it will set one up automatically for you. And then it'll delay 3 more days, and then it'll send another text message where you can actually change these. So now these are important to really get in there and modify them, though. A lot of this is it's pre-done, but if you just set it and forget it, it's going to seem automated. And I think the point of this really isn't you don't want to come across as a robot, because we all get a ton of emails already that you just know it's automated, and people are less likely to respond to that. So if you go in there and you actually use language that sounds like you and it's coming from you, it's going to be more effective and more powerful in your campaigns.
Right, and just to touch on that, I know some of the campaigns, there's a text message that says, hey, let's go get coffee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't really get coffee right now with someone else, right? So just kind of putting these out there and not really reading them, it'll definitely seem like you're just automating this, and doesn't really matter to you what goes out, right? So just take the time and to read over all the steps, and to read over and make sure that it sounds like you instead of like Kyle just said, instead of anything robotic.
Yeah, and all right, so add the smart plan. So if you're going to do the app one, what I would suggest, just rename it. So I would do something like app edited. So that way when you go back into your smart plans, this is the one that you've worked on. So if you go to the right here, you can edit it out. You can manually add context in. The copy features, I guess, deactivated, and then you've got delete here. So this is to edit this feature. So you could start and you can build these completely from ground level, but again, why do that when it's already got it here, especially if you can easily move things up and down or delete them. Now, and I ran into this issue with the birthday one, and I talked to Eddie about this already, where he said he hasn't seen this yet, where the smart plan's not active for whatever reason. So you should be able to move these steps up and down. You should be able to delete a step if you don't want to make a phone call, or you only want to send one text message. Mm-hmm. So do you know whenever that is going to be a feature that's enabled again?
I'm not sure. I know actively they're inputting features and they're outputting features. And in the beginning, you used to be able to categorize contacts coming in from a specific source, and they'll automatically be put into a smart plan, right? So they kind of took that away for a little bit. So as they're kind of working through updating command and making sure that the features are working, they're going to put things in and then take things out. So yeah, I really don't know when that's going to be brought back.
Okay. Well, just for the sake of looking through this one though, so you should be able to edit a couple of things at least, but actually it's not letting me really do anything here. But again, like I said, if you hover over things, if you don't know what the message type is, the difference between static and dynamic, the static message is going to be the message that is just going to be sent the same over and over again. But if you've got a rolling smart plan and it's going to send your recipients are going to get the same one possibly over and over again, you probably want to use the dynamic messages, which is going to kind of rotate and revolve the messages. That way they're not getting the same one over and over again. Because if someone sends me the same one over and over again, guarantee you I'm going to stop subscribing to it or really not pay attention to it. If anyone has ever done, let's say like MailChimp campaigns as well. So if you look here, this is a great way to personalize the message. You know, you don't want to just say, hey, did you see the new listing in your neighborhood? If you have any questions, get back to me. You know, people really actually like to see their name. You know, they like to see anything that looks personal, even if it is automated. And if someone's name's there, it's much more personal. But again, you want to make sure people's names are spelled correctly and you have the right names in the right fields in your database. So I guess back it up a little bit, you know, making sure your database is cleaned up and the neighborhoods are connected to your clients. That's really going to set you up for success when you're doing all of these. But you can change out either the first names or last names with the drop down here. You can add email addresses. But again, if you don't have a contact's birthday, if you don't have their email address, or if you only have a first name and you don't have a last name, when you put that field in there, it's going to show up funky whenever they do receive the message. So for this,
and so kind of going to your point, Kyle. So what's the point of the Smart Plan? Anyone wants to answer that in chat, or if you want to answer that, Kyle?
Well, I wasn't sure if you were asking me or someone else. So what's the point of a Smart Plan? It's to engage. I mean, it's to touch your contacts, and you want them to not only receive these messages, but you want them to reach out to you and ask you questions.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, eventually you're going to want to have two-way communication, right? This is just some of the things that you're using to entice your clients so that way you're able to reach out to them with value, right? This isn't something that, you know, will take over 100% of how you communicate with your clients, right? This is just something that's additional on top. Here's some value. Oh, check this thing out. Oh, look at your neighborhood. This is how much it's appreciated, or this is how many houses are on the market, right? This is just an added bonus to the already amount of touches that you're doing as well. So just wanted to touch base on that.
Has anybody used the app Smartplan yet? No?
Nope.
I've not done any smart plans yet.
Okay. And just, Christina, if you don't mind me just putting you on the spot and asking you, if you haven't done any smart plans, is there one particular reason, or is it just haven't gotten around to doing it, or is it just, you know, the
Two reasons. I'm pretty techno challenged as I'm trying to learn command. I'm taking steps that I'm comfortable with, and from what I've read, the people that have discussed the frustration with it not using your own phone number or not behaving as they expect, I don't want to start off on the wrong foot by sending somebody something that makes them go, what?
And Ivan, I think you had that problem at one point where you were sending texts or messages at like, I don't know, like 3 in the morning or something random like that.
So I personally didn't have that issue. I know some people did have that issue. And the thing is it only happened to a couple of people, but most of the time those text messages got sent out at normal hours, right? The problem is that people didn't know that the text messages were going out, right? So your client would get a call or a text from a random number saying, hey, let's go get coffee sometime soon, right? That's what I'm talking about. You need to make sure that you read these smart plans, and you need to make sure that you read what's actually going out. Otherwise, your clients are going to say, hey, these random people are texting me, or this random person is texting me, you know, about real estate or something. I have no idea who this person is. And you're like, well, that's me, right? But if they don't know that it's you, then it's just a random spam text message, right? So that's why you need to look over these smart plans. You need to make sure that it sounds like you. And if you're sending something out to your database, make sure that you know, obviously it sounds like you, but at the same time, right, if you're going to mass text, make sure that everyone that you're texting to understands that this is, you know, coming from your number. Maybe put your name at the end of it, right? Maybe send out one mass text saying, hey, you know, save this number. You know, this is going to be my, you know, one of the ways that I communicate with my clients now. So just make sure that the people are informed instead of just adding them to 10 different smart plans and then, you know, being weirded out when they're getting 3 text messages a day that you put them on, but you didn't really read it. So
How do you find out the number that it's going to be sending from, so you can notify your people?
When you set up your Twilio account, you'll select a number.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and again, use this text box to your advantage, guys. I mean, this is meant to be a message just coming from you. You don't have to use these automated or prefab responses or text boxes in here. Put your message in there. I mean, it's just important that you're sending them out and that you're touching your people. And to Evan's point, so the last thing we want here is to have a negative effect, on our database. We don't want to send messages out that we're not carefully looking at first, and want to be thoughtful about all these things. And so what's nice about this too is, you can set the delay too. This one has one day between step 1 and step 3. This one's got 2 days here, but if you feel like you need more time between that, or your people don't respond as quickly, you can set this to a week or 3 days, whatever it will make more sense for you. But again, this is great just because it's customizable. You just have to get in there and kind of play with it. Unfortunately, it's limited right now, so I can't really show you, the features to slide up and down. But I think you'll kind of get the point of this one here.
Kyle, this is Jeannie. Can I just make a comment?
Sure.
I was on a training, and one of the ladies suggested that, if you're not comfortable with these auto texts or things like that, that you create a task in its place that kind of tasks you, that says, hey, reach out to this person today, just so it's not an automated thing. That's just not how they were using it. So I thought that was a great idea, just to kind of remind us, hey, today is a text for these people on a smart plan. And that way you're still using command, you're still using the smart plans, it just as a task versus and maybe an automation.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great too, because I when I look at this, this isn't just my personal assistant and it's doing it for me. This is meant to be a guide, and whether or not it's sending an automated text on your behalf through Twilio, or it's just reminding you need to send a text to people, either way, it's important. Because for me, I would get rid of this right here since I'm not using Twilio, but I need to have that gentle nudge and reminder when I log into Command every day. Hey, you need to send a text message to this person because you need to follow up from the email that you sent them. And I think it was Lori Bell, when I was watching her video about smart plans, she said, don't overwhelm yourself either. Don't put everybody on the same one at the same time, because if you get into your command and your smart plans and it says you need to send 80 text messages today, you're going to get overwhelmed, and you're going to look at that and you're probably either going to make a couple of them or none of them at all. So it's good to kind of space some of them out to whatever works for you. I haven't really figured out the best way to do that yet. So if anybody has done that effectively, please let us know. But you can schedule these out to where it's not all falling on the same day. Now, like if you do the birthday smart plan, that's obviously going to fall on each individual's birthdays. But if you set everybody up in your app on the same day, it's going to flood your command front page there. But yeah, that's good advice, Jeannie.
Yeah, I believe whenever you add multiple groups or specific people into a smart plan, you can have it to where it tapers off, or it sort of tapers in to where it adds 5 people to the smart plan per day, right, or 10 people to the smart plan per day. That way, if you do like an 8x8 or like a 36 touch, you're not doing your quarterly calls. If you have 1,000 people in your database, you're not doing 1,000 calls in one day, right? You're doing like 10 calls a day, right? So there's different ways that you can do that.
So, all right, well, I'll go back to the library here, and again, just kind of run through some of these. So the biweekly neighborhood nurture, this one is only going to be effective if the contact you have in there has a neighborhood connected to their contact. So it's super important to kind of go through there and make sure that you add neighborhoods for past clients or for your Mets or people that you're trying to get future business from. Because it won't send it out to them. But this one here doesn't have very many steps. It's got an automated email, then it waits about 2 weeks, and then it's going to send them an automated email again with their neighborhood nurture for whatever neighborhood you have them set up on. The 8x8 contact is going to be something that you're going to want to use for people you met. This is the one that Ivan talked about, like the grab coffee. So the this one here, the touch task, the third one in says, let's grab coffee. Well, now, if you don't drink coffee, or if that's not how you ever handle meetings with your people, change it to something different. But again, it's just important to change it to something that's tailor-made to your business, to you, and to what your database is going to respond the best to. Because what this is, the 8x8 is just meant to strengthen those relationships. And whether it's somebody that you just met at an open house and you throw them in an 8x8 because you want to get to know them better, just make sure that they're effective here. So then again, you can see, I'm not going to go into this one, I guess, to edit it, but you can see it's going to send an SMS message. It's going to wait a week. Then it's going to give you another task to follow up with them. It's going to wait another week. Then it's going to remind you to make a phone call. Then it's going to wait another week again. It's going to remind you to send a text message, or it will send a text message that you've already got set up. It's going to wait another week again. And it's going to add them to the monthly neighborhood nurture. Ivan, can you speak to that one? I'm not exactly sure how so you don't want to have them set up on a neighborhood nurture and on this one, correct? Because then it would send it to them twice.
Yeah, I think it'll be better if you just did one. But like, for example, if you're nurturing a group of sellers or your database and you just want to send them a monthly neighborhood nurture, we'll just set them up on that. I just think, yeah, these are just different tools that you can use in different formats, right? But obviously, if you put them on a monthly neighborhood nurture and then a bi-weekly neighborhood nurture on this, they're going to get like 3 emails a month with the same info, right? Mm-hmm. So just kind of be mindful that you're not overlapping the smart plans.
And again, the delay here, it's a week between the delay. I mean, you don't want to bombard people, every other day, but a week, even for myself, I might make that 2 weeks. It just depends on how frequently you feel like people will respond to communication from you. But this is definitely one of the longer ones. It has 15 steps, along with the open house one also has quite a few at 15 steps. The quarterly call plan, simply make a phone call, wait 30 days, and it's just going to remind you to make a phone call again. So this is a good example of it. It's just going to tell you when you need to do something instead of just automatically doing it. And because you at this point, it's not going to just auto dial for you and have a pre-recorded response, which actually might be kind of cool at some point. But I think the one that a lot of people would really use, I know I found this one to be pretty nice though, was the, where's it at here? Where'd my open house one go? There it is. The open house follow-up. Because when we meet people at open houses, we get their information. I'm guilty of it. I get it, and I don't do anything with it. So it'd be easier to set them up on a smart plan to follow up. And with leads from open houses, you know what? If you bombard them with a bunch of communication, and if they don't want it, then they'll unsubscribe. But if they're actively looking and they're going to be a quality lead, they most likely will respond, I believe, to to all these. And so if you notice, the delay between these isn't a week. They've shown interest by showing up to an open house and giving you their information. So they're likely shopping. They're a serious shopper, or might be in a little bit. But it's with those leads, it's just follow up with them. The best agents at open houses, the ones that are doing it at a high level, I bet if you ask them, they're following up. They're making sure that they're reminding the people where they met them, who they are, what they do, where they're working, what areas. So for this one right here, it's starting off sending a message, hey, I met you at an open house. What did you think of it? You wait a day if you don't hear from them, and tells you to touch them again. Nice to meet you at the open house. Email your lead for the open house you held, your name as part of the open house follow-up smart plan. So now I don't think that's actually the message it's going to send there, but just telling you to send a message like something similar to that. So a phone call, and again, you can change all these out. If you're not comfortable calling people, just take that out of there. And you can, if 15 steps is too many, yeah, you should be at some point be able to tone it down and say, you know what, I'm just going to send 3 follow-up text messages after 3 days in between, and hopefully at some point in time between those 3 messages in those 9 days, you're going to get contact with someone. Right. And another one that I actually thought was pretty good is the home anniversary one. And I would like to edit this one personally for myself because you've only got two touches here. You've got your touch task of whether or not you can send them a gift or something of value. But I don't know how many people are sending anniversary cards or gifts or something like that. But the best advice that I've received on that or have seen on videos is, this is just to remind you to send them something, whether it's just a card acknowledging their anniversary and putting your name in front of them again, or you send them something of value every year, something that they'll use. I mean, something of small cost to you, but that they would value and be able to use around their house. I mean, like coasters or pot holders or pens. I don't know, keychains with your logo on it. Anything I think to acknowledge that, because a lot of people might even forget when their home anniversary is. So a lot of times whenever I follow up with my people and say, hey, happy 1-year anniversary or 2-year anniversary, it's been nice knowing you all this time. I hope the house is still working out for you. They're like, oh wow, I didn't even realize it's been a year, or I didn't realize it's been 2 years. And a lot of times you get conversations that stem from that saying, we've been thinking about this, and whether it's questions about a remodel or what's going on in the neighborhood, or they're thinking about they need more space. That's just the point of staying in touch with them, is to engage. So for that one, it's you can send them something and then it'll delay 6 days, and you could follow up and say, hey, did you get that? As opposed to just sending it and hoping they get it. And when they do get it, they're going to reach out and say, oh my gosh, thank you for sending it. A lot of people get busy. Some people don't think that they need to acknowledge that they've received something. So this is a nice way for it to nudge you, saying, hey, don't forget, you took the time to send them something. Maybe call and find out if they received it and see what's going on with them. So you can use these. I'm not going to go through all of them like I was kind of intending to there. I think you guys probably kind of get the point, and you can all look through them. But to go back to the beginning page, you could create these. You can do one that says, and I already did one that said test. I'll do test 2. But it literally comes up with this, and to me, this is way more intimidating than taking one of those other smart plans and pulling something in, or taking something out, or moving it around, or changing the intervals. But you can add, you put a task in, whether you want it to be a non-touch just meaning it's just going to be a step, but it's not a text message or an email or a phone call that you're sending to people. You get to name them and put all this stuff in there. But again, to me, it's just easier to take some of these other ones and tailor make them and customize them to you. Ivan, have you set them up yourself, or are you kind of on the same as me? It's just easier to do one of the other smart plans in the library.
I've done both. I think the best way to start would be to use the already existing ones. And then once you kind of get comfortable with those, you can create your own. And also, whatever systems that you're already using, see if you can implement that and put it into command, right? So if you have a quarterly phone call, if you have a plan for the year, right? If you have some emails that you're going to send out, so just put that in there on the task, and then see how that works, how that operates. And then as these start to become a little bit more complex, right, with more features, with more buttons, because right now there's make a call, send an email, right, send text, just hit delay, and then add the smart plan, right? In the future, you'll be able to split them up, right? If they respond to this, you can put them on a different smart plan, right? If they respond no, you can put them on a different smart plan. So get familiar with these now, and then once these add a little bit more features, you'll be able to use them at a higher level and not have to go through the learning curve.
And what I forgot to mention at the beginning too is that if you're scared to use these, or if you're just kind of testing the waters on it, your best bet really is to just kind of create one of these and add yourself, or add your brother, your sister, your family, like your close sphere, and then just say, hey, I'm going to be sending this stuff to you guys, and it may be funky and it may have some quirks, but just know it's coming. And if you have any feedback, let me know. But adding yourself to them is a really great way to kind of see how it is actually received in the consumer end. So let's say you were just wanting to do like this birthday one, I would just add myself. I think I have myself in my database. Yep, there I am. So I would just add myself in there, and then when that smart plan runs, it's just going to send it to me. And so once I'm comfortable and once I know that it's kind of how I want it to, the message is coming through the way that I intend it to, and it doesn't sound robotic, then I feel more confident to add the rest of my database in there. Because I don't ever want to send things out to people and they're just like, what the hell? Because you only get one chance at a first impression. And if you're sending something, but I say that with a caution, like, don't be scared though to do it, because if you're waiting for this to be perfect, it's never going to be perfect. And so there are going to be some things that don't work, but sometimes those mistakes are great ways to engage with people, because if someone's as long as it's not like a super ugly, glaring bad mistake, people will be like, hey, you sent this message to me at 3 a.m. or this is not my right neighborhood or whatever it would be. To me, that's like saying, bad press is still good press. So even if people are responding and saying, hey, there's a mistake in here, why is this like that? That's still communication, right? But that was definitely some good advice I, got right away. Was just put yourself in there, add the people that that won't care if you make a mistake. That way it's not going to look bad on you once you open it up to everybody. And so all these up here too, I don't know when these will actually be available. That's above my pay grade at this point in time. Ivan mightn't have any idea there, but for now, the people plans are really what I think everybody should at least mess around with. If you haven't gotten in here and learned this, the way that I've learned is there's a ton of videos out there too, guys. All the stuff that I've looked at, and even Nick, we've looked at YouTube videos. So if you just Google smart plans, you're going to come up with a lot of different opinions and takes on people from all over the country. But the most important thing to me is people can learn quicker just by doing. So if you just get in there and click some buttons and mess around with it, I think your learning curve will go down a little bit. Ivan, do you have anything to add?
I think you wrap it up pretty nicely. That's all I add.
Hey, Kyle, can I ask a question?
Sure.
On your screen, I see the duration. What happens when that's over? What do you do?
Like this one right here where it says 31 days?
Yeah, so after the 31st day, what happens?
It just repeats, it goes back. And so that's where, I don't know if you remember, there was static messages, or what was it? Sorry, let me go back. That's the wrong one. Static or dynamic? Yeah, static or dynamic. So if you wanted to, for the neighborhood nurturers, it's going to be the same, right? So each month. So that one's probably okay to do a static message. But to answer your question, after that 31 days, it's just going to start over again. So if you've got somebody set up on a smart plan and it's a 7-day duration, each week, and you don't want to send the exact same thing each week, each week saying, hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? You can change it up with the dynamic messages, and you could, I don't know if it's an infinite number of messages you can put in here, but you can at least switch it up week over week. I think that's mostly effective for these smart plans that have a short timeline. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
And you can set the duration of these can be extremely long. The quarterly one is 90 days. You could do the home anniversary one actually could probably be more like 365 days. Actually, I don't know why that one saying that now is only 7 days, but I guess that's because after that 7th day, it stops. Ivan, that's actually kind of weird. I have a question now that I don't have the answer to.
So, and the question is,
why wouldn't this be 365 days versus 7 days, I guess? Like if you want to touch somebody on their anniversary each year.
So the thing is the way that they're set up, they're not set up for, so here's the thing, right? So you have a 90-day phone call, right? You make your phone call and then you don't get a task until the day of the next phone call, right? So that's why it's 90 days, right? Same thing with the monthly neighborhood nurture, it's 31 days. So with this one, it triggers, so it says interact with contact, delay 6 days, and then call phone. So I believe this one is you add them, and then it's 7 days or 6 days before the task gets created, and then you make the phone call.
Cool.
That makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, and y'all don't be too intimidated by this. I mean, I've messed around with this limited in my limited experience, but it's pretty intuitive and user friendly. But once you get the hang of it, I think that you'll really benefit from the features of it. But it's also not going to be effective if you never log into command. Like if you set up these things up and it says, hey, send a text message out today, but you don't log into command every day, it's really for nothing. So you have to make sure that you're constantly in command, because if command is what it's meant to be for everybody, it's like your command center, you're the center of your business, you're looking at it every day, you'll see those things on your front page. But if you're not intending to log into command every day and get these messages, this may not work for you. And so all this is meant to work hand in hand with all these other applets over here, because all of these are all connected, from your contacts and having the correct information inputted there, to tasks, to referrals. I mean, even opportunities. If you're setting opportunities up in here and you don't have people in command, it's going to be extra steps and just a little bit more work for you. Does anybody have any other questions? Any success stories with Smartplans or disaster ones? Everybody likes a disaster story if anybody has one.
I'll let you know after my test one to myself happens.
Yeah.
It starts tomorrow. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm actually gonna once we get off here, I'm gonna set up a test one myself, but do like just a day duration between them, just to see and have it go through. But I get my birthday ones all the time, and it'll say, hey, send a birthday card, and it triggers me to remember, hey, I need to sit down and write this birthday card. And for me, I would rather pick my phone up and write a text message, or write a card by getting the reminder, versus it getting sent out automatically. Because you also don't want people to get messages and they send a message to you saying, oh, hey, I got it, and you're like, what are you talking about? You got what? Because that automatically makes it seem less genuine. And I think being genuine is what we are really all striving for, because especially the people that don't know us well, we want to earn their trust. We want to earn the opportunity to get closer to them, and that's what this will help you do. So I guess unless anybody has any other questions, probably just go ahead and wrap it up, because I don't have anything else to share with you, because a lot of these features we're disabled right now. But does anybody else have their do you see an activate button here, a toggle switch, or is it gone for everybody as well?
I don't see it.
Okay. So just so you know, to be able to edit some of these, if it's, whenever you see it on there again, if you're going to want to make edits to the smart plan, outside of changing like the name of it, or durations of certain things, or between touches, you'll have to deactivate it temporarily to be able to edit it. So it's like turning off your power before you mess with your electricity at home. Can't mess with it while it's on. So, all right, well, Ivan, any words of wisdom to close out?
Go out and try them. Make your own smart plans, and if you have any questions, just type it in the KW Facebook page. I'm sure people will be able to help guide you through if you have any questions.
Thank you so much.
Yep, well, thanks everybody for joining. Have a great day.